Our post show for Low Rollers Live. I am always am your host, Danny Allison. Boy, I get tired during these nights, and I just can't speak when we do these intros. I, as always, am your host, Danny Allison. With me here are the rest of the gang. Chris, why don't you take it away with what you have planned for our post show?
Cool. So I am opening up everything because my computer was being funky. Yeah, not my computer, but Amazon. So I am going to give you XP as soon as my OneNote loads. So exciting. But let's just do a quick thing. What do you guys think of skills challenges? We've had our first one this arc. Alan, I know you really dislike skills challenges, so why don't you give us that opinion first?
Okay, well, there's a little history of why I don't like skills challenges, because in the beginning of our campaign, um, my character that I had wasn't very skill based. She was more combat based. So I was failing every roll, almost. And I cost us, what, 3 skill challenges?
At least.
Several, yeah.
At least. So it just really got to the point where when he said skill challenge, I said no. So, I mean, I like them as a principle, and I also DM my own game on the side, and I plan on using them, but I hate to do them as a character. This character, it's not so bad because I made this character more an even, well-rounded character. Sort of getting away from the solitary combat sort of based character. So they're not so bad now, but I do really not like skills challenges because I tend to not roll well.
Cool. Danny, Danny Allinson, you
Yes.
introduced me to these skills challenges back when we did the original low rollers, and I was like, "This is the best thing ever." Would you like to tell me? Well, basically where you found skills challenges and what you think of them.
Well, I mean, skills challenges are an actual mechanic from 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons. I think that was the first time that they came about. And it was just a way to kind of make roleplay a little bit more mechanical. It was the idea behind it, and I really like that idea of kind of blending roleplay and combat in some sort of way, and that's really what the skill challenge does. So I think it's great. It offers a new way for challenge or for problems to be solved, and allowing those skills based characters to really thrive. So I think they're great. I'm glad we get to play them in this campaign, even though that sometimes they're a little bit frustrating.
Cool. So my thing is open real quick. We have 200 XP for the roleplay, 500 for the skills challenge, and combat was an even 600. This will equate to 1,300 total.
1,300 even.
73,175.
73,175. Cool.
Repeat that number?
73,175.
I have 74,175.
Well, I'll take that too.
Same.
Okay.
Oh. So what we were at 71,875 before.
Yeah.
Right.
So 73 is correct.
73 is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I put on the chat in case you want that.
Cool. So we're kind of wrapping up this chapter, and next session we'll fully wrap up the chapter and hopefully get us well in the way of the next story arc, where we introduce some new characters, got some new things going on. Hopefully it's a little lighter in tone. But yeah, John, you had a very interesting reaction to the story arc, both as a player and a character. What did you think of how this all went down? And yeah.
So I'm assuming you're talking about what I was saying during the break.
No, we're not talking about that.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about Narroth's sort of interpretation of the situation.
Okay, so at this point, Narroth is in a very interesting position because, on the one hand, he feels like we are probably being torn from the main objective. We are here to gather troops and supplies, and on the other hand, he's kind of feeling a sense of dread about this entire situation, that we're coming here to a place that isn't necessarily in a good situation for giving us any troops or war efforts or supplies. We're basically recreating this society into something that can give us what we want, is how Narroth sees this. So at this, it's interesting because our party could have the same impact at home, instead of fighting the people in this society who aren't necessarily moral as we would see it in our society. We could be back in Excelsior, trying to basically gather forces of our people back home. So I think Narroth is a little bit torn between wanting to complete the original mission and wondering if this society is worth it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I wrote the storyline that if you guys wanted to just leave, that's well in your power. I'm glad you guys went through the battle, because I got to throw this very, very sick boss at you, which will be hopefully explained a little bit next session. But yeah, it was very interesting. There was no right answer, as I generally try to avoid right answers. But I want to get Danny Garcia's opinion, both going from Phillip, who is in a sticky situation this session, to having Astor come back. What was Phillip's reaction to everything going into basically planning a coup, to Astor coming back dramatically? Was it because I wanted Astor to come back?
Well, I guess I'll definitely talk about Phillip first. First and foremost, I will bring up the point that I haven't really played Phillip too much. However, when I took the beliefs that he had when I read his story, the way I decided to interpret that is this particular place, in a sense, kind of flipped his world upside down. Not quite literally, of course, but it kind of challenged his thought process, his beliefs. He encountered something that was so shocking to him that he just got really confused. His religious foundation kind of shaken just a little bit, though it kind of got recentered after the discussion about what they were going to do here. While Phillip is someone who kind of agrees with Zarrius for the most part when it comes to not killing people, this is probably the closest he would have gotten to completely revoking that, for one exception. I will also say that it kind of sucks that he got into sticky situation, because I think he's a pretty good character. Now, as far as Astor coming back, well, first and foremost, I'm sure we can all say he was very surprised, to say it the least. Definitely not a super heroic comeback, but definitely surprising. I'm sure once he gets the lowdown on everything that happened, he's probably going to react very negatively, but I will admit that I'm kind of happy to be getting back to the character that I'm so familiar with.
And a last question is that now that Astor is back, Seitz, what do you think Zarrius' role is going to be in the party? Because he still has the mandate basically to take charge, but Astor is kind of the designated party leader. So how do you think Zarrius will react next episode?
I think the way that Zarrius would react to Astor being back, first of all, would be praise God, he's back. But in terms of the leadership roles, I think Zarrius is going to play a much more incorporated role into making decisions. I think now that he understands his other party members and I think himself a little bit better, he's going to play a much more decisive, I would say, role in making decisions, meaning that he would speak up just a lot more and make his opinion known and make sure that we go with what he is feeling and not just him going along with the flow of things.
Cool. And that's all I'm going to put up today because it is quite late. Anything else, Danny?
No, I don't got anything else. Thank you once again for joining us after the rolls. Like we said before, every Monday at 9 p.m. we do stream our Low Rollers live show, and this is the post show for it after the rolls. So you can join us at 9 p.m. This will also be rebroadcasted Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, so you can find it there as well, or on YouTube. If you enjoyed this, please come back, tell your friends, and we'd be happy to see you next time. So thanks for joining us after the rolls.